it's a little bit like when Steve Jobs decided to create the Apple company, everything started off your garage, correct?
And I'm still in the garage.
But the garage changed in more of a studio. Hey guys, we're here in the center of Beverly Hills inside the crystal temple of Jacquie Aiche, Queen of Jewels for decades, who's going to open up her studio in order to discover watch beauties. So come along. We're here in Beverly Hills with California Queen Jacquie Aiche, who's been making jewelry for not only a multi-generational brand, but also celebrities, Parisians, and everybody in the world loving and wanting skin jewelry and beautiful jewelry. Not only that, because there's a watch component into it, and Jacquie is going to tell us a little bit about the next coming project and what got her to create those beautiful dies. So Jacquie, first of all, thank you so much for welcoming us here. Obviously, I know what you've been doing because I've been following you for years and years, but can you tell us how exactly did you get to create what is today a GA tribe?
Honestly, it happened organically. For me, I was working in retail and creating jewelry for myself, and clients wanted it, so they were purchasing it for themselves. And slowly but surely, I ended up closing the store and solely designing jewelry for clients, and it just kind of became this culture that is inspiring, and it's heartfelt for me because I get to see all of the magnetic energy that happens from working with all of the crystals and all the beautiful people.
Because it's a little bit like when Steve Jobs decided to create the Apple company, everything started off your garage, correct?
And I'm still in the garage.
But the garage changed in more of a studio, energetic crystal bound. What made you actually, I want to say, transfer into more of an actual established brand? Because you launched your brand in 2007, but you had been making jewelry for like 35 years.
It happened on its own. I was making, there was more of a demand for the jewelry, and at the time I was having my children and I didn't want to work inside a store, so I decided that it was time for me to come home and work from the garage and raise my kids in the house. And it was just kind of like, a domino effect of just all the creativity that happened, all the amazing people that came into my life, and it's been a blessing.
And what about your fascination about crystals and colored stones? That really is your DNA and signature.
It is. I'm a kid who grew up in the Hollywood Hills, and we didn't really ride our bikes or go to the park. And I was always in the backyard hunting for rocks, and I would collect all these different rocks. I would paint some of them, and a lot of them were fool's gold, so it had the crystals on them. So I always used to be very intrigued by them. And then as I grew older, I started getting connected to different crystals from other people that I had met. And it just became a passion for me, and I felt the energy from the crystals, and they were always just so fascinating to me. Everything that happened inside of them, and just, it was just magic, each piece.
So, which is also very different from diamonds, because we're looking for something pure, perfect, crystal clear, but
that's not me.
That's not you, obviously, and that's why I'm guessing you're sourcing most of your stones in Tucson, correct?
Well, I source all of the miners that I meet in Tucson, but they come from all over the world.
Speaking of family, and I mean, the jewelry industry is a big family, but the watch industry is a smaller family, but still a very important one. You started like creating very interesting dials in watches, which you haven't really broadcasted a lot because those are very like exclusive one-on-one project, but started with your watch.
It did. Well, it always starts with me.
It always starts with you. That's a good thing.
I make the jewelry for myself, and then at the time I wanted to wear watches again, and I went into my safe and I pulled out some watches, and they all just looked so boring to me.
So you've always had watches? You've always wore watches?
My father always, for our birthdays, he always would give us watches for special moments. So,
nice daddy.
Yeah. So I went into the safe and I pulled out the watch, and I was like, it's a little boring. I want to make something interesting. So I knew a man for 20 years who's been in the watch business, and I asked him, I said, can you change the dial for me? I want to do something exciting on mine. And he changed it for me, and I was wearing it, and then people would stop me. What is that? I need one. And it just, you know, again, it was like a wildfire experience.
But people would come to you with a personal watch and you change the dial, or you'd get the watch that you would modify and then we get the final
I would
product?
source vintage watches.
Okay.
I would source vintage, and then I would change the dials, and I would then, you know,
make it something very personal with the eye to some extent. Why the eye, by the way?
I just, growing up Egyptian, you know, it was always, we always had the evil eye on us. So, I mean, throughout my whole collection, even in jewelry, I always have the eye. Whether it's even on the sweatshirts or, you know, wherever.
You can have it everywhere. It's the eye
Jacquie Aiche eye is everywhere. Protection for everybody, you know.
That's true, but some people do not believe in what energies and crystal can bring you. How do you educate them, and how can you make them change their mind? Because I'm sure some people have changed their minds.
They have, but I don't think it's really an education. I think it's a feeling. I feel that, you know, at that moment, maybe somebody's like, you know, they wear the eye and they feel that they're protected more and they believe in it more.
So do you bless every piece of jewelry with an eye and every watch that has an eye in it?
I bless every piece regardless, whether it has an eye or not.
Speaking of an eye, you were approached during COVID, actually at a very interesting time, about a watch project, which now we can reveal because it was under the radar for a couple of months. Can you tell us a little bit of how did that happen?
At the time, somebody very dear to me was ill, and he was having multiple surgeries, and at the time he would finish each surgery and tell me, I'm like a Timex watch. I take a licking and I keep on ticking. And I'd be like, okay, whatever, you know, whatever you want to believe. And at that moment in time, maybe a couple days later, after so many times of I'll take a licking and keep on ticking, I was reached out by Timex, which I thought was, you know, magical. And they had asked me if I was interested in doing a possible collaboration with them.
And it was the first official watch collaboration that you had done?
Yes.
And we're going to get into the details of how you got to create those limited edition, but what's very interesting is the price point, in a sense that you're creating what Omega and Swatch did in the Moon Swatch, and creating a cool collaboration at a very affordable pricing, even though usually, especially with what we see nowadays, it's usually outrageous prices if you're going to get something cool. Why that?
Well, that's why I chose Timex. I felt that even, you know, we do have expensive vintage timepieces that we were selling. I felt that everybody wanted a piece of it, and I wanted to make it accessible to basically for everybody to be able to wear one, because they're so fun. And I feel that, you know, again, they have the healing properties of the mineral collection. And I think that it's the right moment at the right time.
And did you know when they approached you in doing this collaboration, what were you going to do in terms of customization?
I knew I wanted to use minerals for sure. And I knew that I wanted to use the eye. And for us, you know, I'd worked with the designer Giorgio for a while, and we went back and forth, and then we finally agreed on the styles that we wanted to launch with. So
you chose a Timex, which is the timepiece you're wearing, and the one I'm currently wearing, which I will be owning very soon.
We all will.
So that's basically an iconic Timex
style
that you change in creating 3 different dials with minerals: tiger's eye, malachite, and lapis. The indexes are made of Australian crystal.
Yes.
Why Australian crystals?
I mean, they felt that they were the best quality crystal out there, opposed to diamonds.
And the pricing would have been also very different.
Much different.
Now, in terms of changing the dial, there's a printed, well, basically you printed logo, screen printed on it. How did you, obviously the delicacy of working on a hard stone, especially like malachite, lapis, and tiger's eyes, how difficult was it in order not to break the... So it would be a Timex question then.
That's a Timex question.
Did they hate you for that? Of how many minerals did they break in trying to make the watches?
That's why it took so long.
Okay.
We started talking, I'd say in 2020, and I mean, even for myself, I was like, I can't believe we have to wait 2 years. But it's, you know, everything always comes out perfect when you have patience.
So now people need to be patient because, or very fast, because it's a limited edition where there's 150 pieces per each color divided between you and Timex.
I get 150 of each one, and Timex gets 150 of each style.
Okay, so it means that 900 people can actually get a watch.
Yes.
If they're fast enough.
Exactly.
For $350.
Yes.
That's a bargain. You should have waited for Christmas, but I'm hearing that something may be coming. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for all those insights and for your time. And I'm really excited about this collaboration because it truly is, especially being in the watch and jewelry industry, it's the first time that one of the few times at least, where there's a truly genuine DNA that's being shared to a woman, even though we shouldn't say feminine timepieces versus masculine timepieces.
They're unisex.
They're unisex, but yet they're still like jewelry and feminine looking, and I'm very happy that it was with you.
Honestly, it means so much to me that you're excited about them.
Well, I mean, how couldn't I be? Like, literally. Well, again, congratulations and good luck for the rest drops.
Thank you.
We're excited to see them.
Me too.
So, as a bonus, if you're still wondering which dial edition you should get, here's a little insight from Jackie's direct crystal book in order to understand the power of each stone. So starting with lapis, it's a stone of communication, truth, and empowerment. It is known for carrying properties of honesty and self-expression. The deep blue beauty is an essential stone for leaders and lovers alike. Now moving on to the second dial, it would be the malachite. Malachite is this green, intense, dark color that you can find in the second dial, and it's known for cleansing, protection, and balance. If your energy is feeling low or you're overwhelmed by negative forces, it's time to armor up. Malachite is your personal shield with powerful protection properties. The deep green heals old emotional wounds. Last but not least, tiger's eye is a very important stone in the Crystal Bible. The reason is that it's protection, ambition, and confidence. One of the most powerful protection stone Mother Nature has to offer. Tiger's eye is always looking out for you. Anything you set your mind to feel possible with this stone in hand. It's a source of endless energy, known for inspiring protection, confidence, and ambition.